Today, we will look at yes, no, not given questions, and they are almost similar. The only problem is sometimes in the exam, in a true false question, you might write yes, no by mistake, and that will be a wrong answer. So, if the answer is true but you write yes, or if the answer is yes but you write true, it will be wrong. So, always keep that in mind. Read the instructions carefully. And again, you might think it is not a big issue, but most people make that mistake, and that mistake might be the reason why you might not be getting a good score in the exam. So keep that in mind. But general techniques for both questions apply. uh, so to see an example of yes no not given questions, I would like you to go to IELTS 13 page number 93. IELTS 13 page 93. On that page, you will see 6 questions from 35 to 40, and these are yes no not given questions. So the general tips for both yes no and true false questions: the answers, first of all, the answers come serially in the text. Remember that. It might make it slightly easier to search for the answer because the part above the last answer is not necessary for the next answer. So it will limit the scope of your search. Second thing, all three varieties of answer will be there in any given set of questions. Uh, like in these questions, it will never happen that all of them is yes or all of them is no. It never happens in that way, or all of them not given. There will be at least one yes, at least one no, at least one not given. That tip might help you sometimes. If you did these 5 questions and let's say 3 of them were yes and 2 of them were no, that means you made a mistake somewhere. There has to be one not given as well. All three varieties should be there. And sometimes, if you are really lucky, you get only 3 questions like this in the exam. So just do the first two. If the first is not given, second is no, the third must be yes, because all three answers are there in any given set of questions. That is the thing. The most important thing is, before you start searching for the answer to the question, you have to think what you are searching for. Many times, what happens is, I suspect that is what many people do. They read this sentence and search in the text for a similar sentence with many words from this sentence in that sentence. And if the two sentences look similar, they think it is yes. Or if they find any negative words like not, don't, they think it is no. But the problem is, the text is not as simple as that. Just because this line and this line matches, looks like it matches, doesn't mean the meaning also matches. So you have to think before you start searching. What are you searching for? Think of it as a detective. When you are searching for clues, you have to know what you are searching for. Imagine this. Imagine in this room, a crime was committed. Let's say murder was committed in this room. Now, as a detective, if you don't think, if you don't think what you are searching for, you might enter the room and start looking around. But if you knew that you are searching for fingerprints, then you will not touch anything. Because if you touch something, you will tamper with the evidence. So before entering the room, you have to think about that. What am I looking for? If you are looking for fingerprints, don't touch anything. Maybe from the handle, it's a don't even touch the handle. Look for fingerprints there. And again, you have to think, am I searching for footprints? If you are searching for footprints, then don't start walking into the room. Check from the beginning of the door. So you have to know what you are searching for. If you don't know, then you will just read the text randomly and you will find something there in the text which might not be pointing to the right answer. Or in a slightly different example, think if I tell you that I was born in Sri Lanka. If I ask you true or false, how would you prove it? Mm. So maybe you will ask to see my citizenship certificate, and maybe that will prove it. Maybe my birth certificate, things like these. You have to know what you are searching for. If you don't, then it might not be as simple as what we think it is. Anyway, that is the general tip. So when we read the first sentence, first question, I have to think, what are we looking for? And if we find the similar things, then it may be yes. If we find opposite things, it may be no. And sometimes we don't find any evidence. In that case, we have to say I don't know and select not given as the answer. This text, this question is part of the text that says book review, the happiness industry. I guess we have read this text before as well. Okay, so we know what the text is about. It is about happiness, how to measure happiness, how to sell happiness, how to make people happy, and things like these. A theory given by a writer called Jeremy Bentham, and whatever theory he gave, based on that, some review has been written here. Let me read the first question for you. 35. One strength of the happiness industry is its discussion of the relationship between psychology and economics. Now, what does it mean? Let's think about it. This book that is titled The Happiness Industry has many strong parts. That is what we can get by reading the line one strength. Means out of many strong parts in the book, one strong part of the book is the discussion of the relationship between psychology and economics. Now, can you tell me what is psychology? It is the study of mental states. It's called what psychology is. The study of mental states. Like if you are depressed, for an example, a mental state, what made you depressed, how to cure it, how to analyze it, maybe things like this. Psychology and economics. What is economics? It is a study of, it is the study of, if any one of you have studied management, it is a study of how people make decisions, of decision making. And the decision making usually involves money as well. But even without the money, decision making is what economics studies, but usually with money. For an example, when you have some money and you go to the market to buy products, so out of many products, you choose one product. So why did you choose that product? And the products that you did not choose as well. That's what economics studies. Like before joining this IELTS class, all of you, you had your money. In the market, there are many IELTS institutes, and you decided to choose this institute. So that is what economics studies. How did you make this decision, and what decisions did you not make as well? And the decision involved money spending. So economics and psychology. So our mental states and economics, the way we make decisions, they are related to each other. And this relationship was analyzed by this book, according to the first sentence here. Now let's see in the text about this. Since these are the last questions in this question set, the probability of the answers being at the last part of the text is also very high. So on these 2 pages of text, let's look at the next page, because usually the last questions are answered last in the text. So I saw something in this third last paragraph. In the third last paragraph, in the third last line, do you see this sentence? By associating money so closely to inner experience. Think about it. Like I told you earlier, money is one of the factors that is studied in economics. And inner experience means psychology. By associating money with inner experience means economics with psychology. What happened? Davies writes, Bentham set the stage for, Bentham is the writer of the book, the person who wrote the book, The Happiness Industry. He set the stage for. What does it mean, set the stage for? To set the stage for, think literally. If there is a function going to be organized and you are setting the stage for the function, means you are doing a very important task. Without the stage, there is no function. So you are setting the stage means doing something very important in the beginning. The program will only start after the stage. So did something very important for the entangling means linking. For linking psychological research and capitalism. Capitalism is the system that we are living in right now. In the market, when we have our money, we can spend our money on whatever we like to buy. There are many options. We can choose the best option for us freely, your own choice. Like nobody forced you to study in this institute. It is your own choice. This is what capitalism is, as opposed to socialism. There's another system of economics called socialism, in which the government makes everything. You cannot choose. There's only one, and then you have to choose that one that the government makes. Like in Nepal, if you want electricity, there is only one government electricity supplier. You have to take that electricity. There's no other competition for that. So that is what socialism does. Only one option that the government provides, and capitalism means many options that private companies provide. So that is how we spend money. Capitalism that would shape the business practices of the 20th century. So, business practice means how did businesses conduct themselves? That was shaped, means that was given direction by this theory, that our inner experience means psychology and money are linked together. So, that must be something very important that he did. So, 35 must be yes, because 35 says that is the strong point of this book, that economics and psychology are related to each other. And if you think about it, it may be true as well. Like psychologically, like if we are happy or if we are sad, it also depends on how much money we spend, maybe. Like a business which makes us happy, we might spend more money in that business. We might choose that business. And a business that doesn't make us happy, we might not choose that business. Because in the modern world, only the product itself is not what people want. Think about it. When we go to eat food in a restaurant, only the food is not enough. Only filling up our stomach is not enough. We want a good atmosphere as well. We want a good environment. We want nice service. Making us happy is also one thing that businesses do. And they started doing this in the 20th century because Bentham gave that idea that the way we spend money is linked to our happiness as well, our inner experience. So businesses started doing that. On number 36, the answer is below the last answer. It is more difficult to measure some emotions than others. Now, one trick that I want to tell you, which applies 99% of the time, if you see a comparative word in the question. Comparative words, now if you remember from school, in adjectives, there are comparative and superlative adjectives. Like if I write good, comparative is better, and superlative is best. So adding er at the end of a word, usually that is what makes them comparative. Like if I write tall, it will be taller. These words are used to compare between things, usually between two things, or you can compare between many things as well. But words ending with er like this, adjectives ending with er, and some long words like beautiful. If the word is long, we cannot add er, we cannot make it beautifuler, but we add more in the beginning, more beautiful. Or we can also add less, like again, long words. Interesting cannot be made interestinger. We can add more or less in the beginning. We can add less as well. So these words are called comparative words. They compare things. If you find words like this in the question, true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given question, usually the answer is not given. When I say usually, I don't mean always. Sometimes they may be given, but usually they are not given. So in the IELTS test, since we always lack time to finish the test on time, what I would like you to do is, if you get a question like this, like number 36, which is more difficult, those kinds of words, generally the answer is not given. Just select not given. And then at the end, if you have time remaining, then maybe search for the answer as well. But if it's not given, you will not find it. And still, you can save your time by doing that. Now, if you are very unlucky, maybe it is given in the text. But at least you can sometimes save your time by just selecting not given. And usually it is not given as well. So remember that. Now, right now we have time. So let's search. It is more difficult to measure some emotions than others. What does it mean again? Can you name some emotions? Okay, love. Any other? Happiness, sadness, loneliness, fear, anxiety, all of these things. They are emotions. When we are measuring the emotions, like how much happy you are, how much sad you are, measuring the emotions, some are easy, some are difficult, according to this question number 36. Below the last answer means maybe the second last paragraph. Okay, I can see here in the second last paragraph, third line. In addition, Davis shows how the belief that inner states of pleasure and displeasure can be objectively measured. You can measure both. You can measure pleasure, you can measure displeasure as well, both. Has informed management studies and advertising. But which one is easy and which one is difficult? It doesn't mention that. It just says there are two emotions which can be measured, pleasure and displeasure. But is it easy or difficult to measure them? Is not mentioned at all. Therefore, not given may be the answer. Unless it is written below that as well. But again, like I told you, usually comparison questions, the answer is not given. 37. Watson's ideas on behaviorism were supported by research on humans he carried out before 1915. So, whatever ideas he has on the topic of behaviorism, his ideas are based on human research before 1915. So, the date is given in 1915. Let's search in the text. Second last paragraph, 1915. It is so simple. Look at that. He had never even studied a single human being. So he had not done study on human beings. But the question says he had. So it is no. This one is very simple. Okay. Now I hope you are getting the hang of it. 38. Watson's ideas have been most influential on governments outside America. The answer is below the last answer. Why don't you search for it? Second last paragraph. It says here Britain something something. So I'm giving you 2 minutes time. Or if you finish earlier, you can tell me as well. Wherever we found the last answer, below that answer. Yes. Not given. Anybody thinks no as well? In my opinion, just this second last paragraph, this last sentence is where the answer lies. Either if it is true, false, or not given, the answer is there somewhere. Now, not given would be not given, but still we can read and then find out that it is not given there. Okay, now whatever you have decided, your own answer, lock into that. Let's check it. First of all, if you understood the question, like I said, critical thinking is important to find answers to questions like these. Whatever Watson's ideas are, we don't know what the idea is, but whatever the idea is, that idea influences governments. The governments are following the idea that Watson gave, but government outside America are more influenced than the governments inside America. Now, governments inside America, maybe the American national government, the federal government, maybe states government. Each state has its own government. Maybe city or cities also have their own governments. So these governments are not as influenced as the governments outside America in other countries. Here, in the second last paragraph, it says, yet Watson's reductive model is now widely applied, with behavior change becoming the goal of governments in Britain. So we know in Britain, government applies these ideas because a behavior inside STEAM has been established by the government to study how people can be encouraged. So in Britain, Watson's ideas influenced the government. We know that. We know that for sure. The question is, the influence is more in other countries than in America. We don't know how much influence it had in America itself. So not given should be the answer, because we know British government was influenced by Watson, but we don't know how much influence was there in the American government. How can we compare when we only know one thing? That is the thing. No, only this, not this. Only this. So the word most is a superlative word. I meant comparative. Comparatives are not given. Superlatives may be given. But I hope you are getting the logic behind it. It is just like saying, like, let's say you watched a football tournament in our local area and you saw a very good football player. And only by looking at that one player, you are saying he is the best player in the world. Without looking at other players, how do you know he is best or not? He may be good, but is he the best or not? How would you know? Same thing happened with this question. They are influencing Britain, but without comparing Britain with America, how do we know where there is more influence? But the question says it is more influence outside America, so it is partial information. So we cannot make that judgment. Now 39 again, it is below the last answer, maybe just the last paragraph where the answer is. The need for happiness is linked to industrialization. This last paragraph. The first sentence talks about it. Modern industrial societies appear to need, so they need the possibility of ever increasing happiness to motivate them. So we need happiness in the industrial society. So that must be yes. In the industrial world, happiness is what drives everything. Like I gave you example earlier, most businesses, they focus on making the customer happy, not only selling the product. They want to make you happy as well. That is why, like, imagine in a cloth shop, they can just all put the clothes on the floor and make you pick from the floor. Why do they give you service as well? It is for you to be happy, because happiness is what they can uh, sell as a product itself, not just whatever you want. Anyway, and the last question number 40 is in the last sentence now. There is only one line remaining. The main aim of government should be to increase the happiness of the population. And the last sentence must answer it if the answer is there. Okay, I'm giving you one more minute. Just that one line. That line has the answer. The last line. Okay, so you quickly jumped to conclusion. It's not given. Read it. Okay, just to burst your bubble, I think it is given. You are saying not given, but I think it is given there. The thing is, you are not thinking, that is the main thing. You're just reading it. Read, stop, and think now. What does it mean? Can you apply it to an example or not? So the thing is, some of you, I guess, are getting the wrong answer because you're not thinking. Take it as this: like in childhood, do you remember memorizing multiplication tables? Like 2, 1, 2, 3, of 2 and 3. You had to memorize them. Now you can do it in your head. If I ask 3 into 5, will say 15 immediately. You don't have to think twice because it becomes a habit. Same thing with reading and understanding as well. Initially, it may take you time, like read the line and think 5 times what it means. But if you keep on doing that, it becomes a habit and it becomes easier to do in the long term. Here it says the idea that governments should be responsible for promoting happiness. That idea that government should promote happiness. So, what should my government do? My government should make me happy. That idea is, what is it? Is always a threat to human freedom. That is not a good idea. It's a threat to human freedom. Our freedom will be under threat if government wants to make us happy. And here it says the government should do it. No, the government should not do it because it is a threat to human freedom. If government is in the business of making people happy, our freedom will be limited. That is what happens. So it is no. Now, what might have happened is some of you might have already read partial sentence, like government should be responsible for promoting happiness, but the remaining part should be responsible is a threat. That is a threat to human freedom. So it means it should not happen. So no should be the answer to the last question. And if you are thinking critically, I guess it is true for almost everything in the world. Government should not be responsible for anything that happens in our personal life, because happiness is what we get by achieving our dreams, by achieving our goals, by doing hard work, by spending time with family and friends. Not that government will make you happy. If we let the government to make us happy, it will always control our freedom. That is what happens. Not just happiness, anything, security, all of those things. So just that. My overall theme is to think critically as well. Don't just read it. Think about it. Think of examples what it means. But the basic tips for question set like this, the answers come serially in the text. Remember that first. Why that is useful is sometimes don't give us any keyword. In that case, like in this set of questions, 37 has a date 1915. You can do that first in the exam, and the other two will be above that, or the other two will be below that. You can always try in that way as well if the question doesn't give you keywords when the answers come serially. Second thing, like I told you, if you find comparative words, words like in this list, the answers are usually not given. Usually, again, sometimes they may be given, but usually they are not given. Another thing is, in any given set of questions, you will find all three types of answers. So keep an eye on that. Like in this set of questions, did we find all three yes, no, not given? Okay. Otherwise, we might have made mistake somewhere if that happens. Now, in the exam, I know we have such a limited time. Even if you make a mistake, just move on. Like if you did all six and all of them are yes in your opinion, just move on. Don't recheck because it will take you longer time to do that. But still, you will know that you made a mistake there because some of them have to be yes, some of them have to be no, some of them have to be not given. Now, not given is tricky because it will not be given at all. But a similar thing will be given. Similar and same aren't the same things is what you should understand. Like a buffalo and cow are similar animals. Both are domesticated, both give us milk, but they are not the same animals. So we always confuse with that. Just because they both have similar property, we think they are same. We think this line and this line have similar meaning, so they are same. Similar does not mean same. And if you remember in the beginning, I told you two exact same things can be changed by just one word in a sentence. Like a sentence, like Beijing is the capital of India, can be changed by Beijing is not the capital of India. Just one word can change it. So sometimes in a long sentence, if we don't read every single word or if we skip over by reading quickly, then we might get the wrong idea of what the sentence is telling us. That always happens. And that is what you have to practice for initially. Take your time, take a lot of time. And that becomes a habit and then it becomes quicker in the exam. And just that, yes, no, not given questions usually come in passage 3. And true, false, not given questions usually come in passage 1 and passage 2. The actual difference between these two are the questions are exactly the same. That just the fundamental difference is true, false, not given sentences are facts. The facts can be true or false. Yes, no, not given questions are opinions. So opinions cannot be true or false. Opinions can be yes, I have that opinion, or no, I don't have that opinion. So that is why they are different in that way. Otherwise, they have the same meaning overall. So if you got that, I would like you to try some questions by yourself now. For this, why don't you keep on turning the pages and go to IELTS 14, page 28. There are 4 questions on that page. IELTS 14, page 28. You can try them right.